Welcome back, Daisy Cakes! We are going to be looking at the 1954 Retro Hugos. Why? Because I am Daisy Ex Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. So what I've been doing is I've been looking at the Retro Hugos, and this is the last one that's been released. And if you don't know, Retro Hugos are Hugos awarded in later years for the years that were skipped during the golden age of science fiction. And this is for 1954. The first Hugo was awarded in 1953, and that was for The Demolition Man by Alfred Bester. There were no other nominees. They just awarded that one novel. And then they skipped 1954. So in 2004, they finally did the Hugos for 1954, and that's what we're going to be looking at. And I'll be going through all the nominees. I'll read the blurbs, and I will pick one to add to my TBR, hopefully to find a new Golden Age author that I'm not as familiar with, or maybe a work that I have missed. So let's go ahead and list the nominees. I'll tell you who the winner was, and then we'll read the blurb. And regardless of who won, I won't necessarily pick the winner to add to my TBR. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. List the nominees. They are The Caves of Steel by Isaac Asimov, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, Clement, Mission of Gravity, and finally, More Than Human by Theodore Sturgeon. And the winner is, of course, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the blurbs. We're going to start with Isaac Asimov's Caves of Steel. I am positive I've read this one already, so I won't be picking it for my TBR. Besides, I picked an Isaac Asimov book last time, but let's go ahead and read the blurb. A millennium into the future, two advancements have altered the course of human history: the colonization of the galaxy and the creation of the positronic brain. Isaac Asimov's robot novels chronicle the unlikely partnership between a New York City detective and a humanoid robot who must learn to work together. Like most people left behind on an overpopulated Earth, New York City police detective Elijah Bailey had little love for either the arrogant spacers or their robotic companions. But when a prominent spacer is murdered under mysterious circumstances, Bailey is ordered to the outer worlds to help track down the killer. The relationship between life and his spacer superiors, who distrusted all Earthmen, was strained from the start. Then he learned they had assigned him a partner, R. Daniel Oliva. Worst of all was that the R stood for robot, and his positronic partner was made in the image and likeness of the murder victim. Okay, besides the Foundation, Asimov is known for his robot novels, especially with the laws of robotics. And I think this is one of the better of the robot novels. You tell me if you agree or not, or if you haven't read it. I think you should probably read it because it's very good. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which I'm sure most of you have already read. And if you haven't, go out and read it. But let's go ahead and read the blurb anyway. 60 years after its original publication, Ray Bradbury's internationally acclaimed novel Fahrenheit 451 stands as a classic of world literature set in a bleak dystopian future. Today, its message has grown more relevant than ever before. Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, the printed book, along with the houses in which they are hidden. Montag never questions the destruction and ruin his actions produce, returning each day to his bland life and wife, Mildred, who spends all day with her television family. But when he meets an eccentric young neighbor, Clarice, who introduces him to a past where people didn't live in fear and to a present where one sees the world through the ideas of books instead of the mindless chatter of television, Montague begins to question everything he has ever known. Oh, by the way, did you know Fahrenheit 451 was originally published in Playboy? Of course, this is one of the most important and prophetic science fiction novels ever, especially if you substitute the internet with television and the current kerfuffle and book banning we're experiencing now with the burning of books and ideas. This is one where, if you haven't read, you need to, and it's been adapted into several different movies, not as good as the book. But I certainly understand why this one, the Hugo. Next up is Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, another very, very famous novel. 1954 was a good year in science fiction. Let's go ahead and read the blurb. The overlords appeared suddenly over every city, intellectually, technologically, and militarily superior to humankind. Benevolent, they made few demands, unify Earth, eliminate poverty, and end war. With little rebellion, humankind agreed and a golden age began. But at what cost? With the advent of peace, man ceases to strive for creative greatness, and a malaise settles over the human race. To those who resist, it becomes evident that the overlords have an agenda of their own. As civilization approaches a crossroads, will the overlords spell the end of humankind or the beginning? I really love this book. I think it's a more fun read than Fahrenheit 451. Even though I understand why Fahrenheit 451 won the Hugo, I actually enjoy reading Childhood's End more. In fact, Arthur C. Clarke said this is his favorite book that he ever wrote. So another one highly recommended. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one because I have not read these last two, starting with Mission of Gravity by Hal Clement. Hal Clement's a really big name in science fiction. I just don't remember reading anything by him. So let's go ahead and read the blurb. Mescaline is a vast, inhospitable, disc-shaped planet so cold that its oceans are liquid methane and its snows are frozen ammonia. It is a world spinning dizzyingly, a world where gravity can be a crushing 700 times greater than Earth's, a world too hostile for human explorers. But the planet holds secrets of inestimable value, and an unmanned probe that has crashed close to one of its poles must be recovered. Only the mescalinites, the small creatures so bizarrely adapted to their harsh environment, can help. And so Barlanan, the resourceful and courageous captain of the mescalinite ship Bree, sets out on an heroic and appalling journey into the terrible unknown. For him and his people, the prize to be gained is as great as that for mankind. Hal Clement's Mission of Gravity is universally regarded as one of the most important and best-loved novels of the genre. The remarkable and sympathetic depiction of an alien species and the plausible and scientifically based realization of the strange world they inhabit make it a major landmark in the history of hard SF. Okay, like I said, I have not read this one. I don't remember reading any Hal Clement, though I recognize the name. Maybe I have read something, I don't know. But I am a big fan of alien races, and this one seems right up my alley. I am very curious about this one. But before we make any decisions, let's look at the last nominee, More Than Human, by a very well-recognized author, Theodore Sturgeon, More Than Human. There's Lone, the simpleton who can hear other people's thoughts and make a man blow his brains out just by looking at him. There's Janie, who moves things without touching them. And there are the teleporting twins who can travel 10 feet or 10 miles. There's Baby, who invented an anti-gravity engine while still in the cradle. And Jerry, who has everything it takes to run the world except for a conscience. Separately, they are talented freaks. Together, they compose a single organism that may represent the next step in evolution and the final chapter in the history of the human race. In this genre-bending novel, among the first to have launched sci-fi into the arena of literature, one of the great imaginers of the 20th century tells the story as mind-blowing as any controlled substance and as affecting as a glimpse into a stranger's soul. For as the protagonists of More Than Human struggle to find who they are and whether they are meant to help humanity or destroy it. Theodore Sturgeon explores questions of power and morality, individuality and belonging, with suspense, pathos, and a lyricism rarely seen in science fiction. Okay, now I have read Theodore Sturgeon's short story that was in Dangerous Visions. Highly recommend that for anyone interested in short fiction, especially for authors during the golden age of science fiction and in the 60s and 70s for, again, Dangerous Visions. Anyway, getting off topic, I'm very curious about this one because it kind of reminds me of the X-Men. You know, that we have a lot of these psychic people doing different things, and it reminds me of Sense8, the Netflix show about a group mind, because it sounds like these people get together for a psychic gestalt or something like that. And it seems like telepathy and mind powers was really big during the golden age, because I'm seeing sort of a repetition or a theme with psychic powers. Anyway, the two I'm looking at to pick for my TBR is, of course, Mission of Gravity by Clement, about the alien race in this inhospitable planet to humans with the high gravity and whatnot. Kind of curious about these aliens. I'm very curious about these aliens, actually. And More Than Human by Theodore Sturgeon. By the way, did you know Kurt Vonnegut based his fictional science fiction writer Kilgore Trout after Theodore Sturgeon? Sturgeon Trout. Anyway, we're looking at either a novel about a psychic gestalt or these psychic superheroes, or this alien race in outer space. Ooh, both of these sound really interesting, but you know what? I think I'm going to go with Clement, Mission of Gravity, with the planet that has the heavy, high, intense gravity and this one race that has to figure something out. So which of these 1954 nominees for the Retro Hugo are you interested in? Let me know down in the comments, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also keep out for a review that I'll be doing on Mission of Gravity by Clement. Until we meet again, may all the books you read be blessed.